Welcome to the OK Not OK podcast. I am the SportsZu, and today we are betting Saturday night's main event number 38, which is January 25th, 2025, and it is the first signature event since the last Saturday night's main event, which was on December 14th, 2024. Well, we don't know why these had to be so close together, or why this one happens to be 1 week from the Royal Rumble, but hey, that's what we've got, so we're back for 2025 to make all of these bets yet again. And well, at the end of December, we had a What Did We Learn podcast where I gave you a recap of Saturday night's main event and the rest of 2024. But as far as Saturday night's main event goes, let's do our recap with 2024 SportsZu. So have at it. I take back what I said last week about not counting Chelsea's victory in the Women's United States Championship tournament because, well, I just have to be consistent from what I did earlier in the year when I counted winning the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, picking Gunther and Nia Jax to win both of those, when we did not know who the SmackDown representatives would be in either of those matches. But I got Nia right without even knowing, so I didn't know either competitor this time. But in both scenarios, I picked Chelsea to win her match, and I picked Chelsea as the #1 overall pick, so of course, we have to count Chelsea as a victory. So, quick summary, that we'll do it again when we do the next Saturday night's main event. But with counting Chelsea, we were 5-0 in picks to bet and picks to win. That takes our record up to 44-9 in picks to win and 40-13 in picks to bet. And still, with no prop bets, 16-4 yet again there. Okay, 5-0, that's pretty good 2024 SportsZu. So yeah, let's see if we can do that again in 2025. So as you know, we like to do our history for each and every betting podcast, but in that last betting Saturday night's main event podcast, I gave you pretty much all of the history that you need to know for the history of Saturday night's main event. So let's go to an even earlier version of 2024 SportsZu so he can remind us of that. SportsZu. So if there's just one thing I want you to take away from the history of Saturday night's main event, it is definitely this: the champions retain. So let's talk about the numbers here. In the 31 events from the original run of Saturday night's main event from May of 1985 through October of 1992, there were 48 title matches, and the champion won his or her match outright by any method 36 of those 48 times, which is 75% of the time. Then the champion retained the title either by a DQ or by a countout or by a double DQ or by a double countout in 10 of those matches, which is 20.83%. And then a title actually changed hands only 2 times out of 48 matches, which is 4.17%. 2 times out of 48 matches, and on top of that, those titles were the WWF Tag Team Championships 1 time and the Intercontinental Championship 1 time. And those title changes took place at Saturday night's main events, numbers 22 and 31. So not even close to anywhere near the beginning. So out of all of that, there was never a WWE or World Championship, men's or women's, that changed hands in a Saturday night's main event. Alright, that is some pretty good history, that's for sure. Well, on top of that, in December, we had 3 title matches, and the champs won all of those. So we're now at 2 out of just 51 title matches where the title has changed hands. That is down to 3.92% of the time that there has been a title change. So just like last time, I need you to remember these 2 things. Number 1, champions retain, and number 2, it's a glorified house show. So let's do a brief history of Saturday night's main event number 2, which happened to be 5 months after the first Saturday night's main event. It was held in October of 1985 in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and this one's in San Antonio, so there's no real correlation there. But in that event, we had Hulk Hogan defeat Nikolai Volkov in a flag match for the WWF title, and then the Dream Team defeated Larry Poffo and Tony Garea for the WWF tag titles. And of course, neither title changed hands because it would take 20-some Saturday night's main events before we would get that first title change. Well, let's go to the present, and we only have 4 matches on this card, plus Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens are going to have a contract addendum signing with the HBK, Shawn Michaels, and there are no props yet again, so let's just make our 4 bets for the 4 matches. So we have just one non-title match, and it was set up on SmackDown, and it's Jacob Fatu at minus 5,000, which is a 98.04% implied probability against Braun Strowman at plus 1,200 for a 769% implied probability. Well, Jacob Fatu has just one one-on-one match so far in the WWE, where he defeated Jey Uso in that War Games Advantage match, and I think it's safe to say this is his time to show us what he can do to become a single star in the WWE. And we've seen him be very impressive so many times, so this is truly his time for his showcase to show just what he can do. Now, Braun Strowman is a perfect foil for Fatu here, as Strowman almost always wins, and therefore if you beat him, you look pretty darn good, unless you're Carmelo Hayes, where he is just getting lucky, but that's another story perhaps for another day. So I think it's safe to say there is simply no chance here that this goes any other way but for Jacob Fatu to look amazing and to pick up this win. So Fatu is our pick to bet and pick to win. Up second, this match was just added on Monday night, and it's for the Women's World Championship between the new champion Rhea Ripley at minus 7,500, which is a 98.68% implied probability, against Nia Jax at plus 1,400 for 6.67%. And this one was so rushed that I didn't even think it was actually for the title, but I guess I was wrong. I mean, Nia Jax has already declared for the Rumble. She's on SmackDown. So is there any reason to think Rhea could lose this one? Well, no. There's no reason at all. WWE got the title on one of the women that they want to walk into WrestleMania with the title, and nothing is going to happen that could possibly change it here. Rhea is obviously not a transitional champion, so there's simply no chance of this belt taken off of her. Now, is there any chance Nia could win by a DQ? Well, the briefcase is gone, so it's no longer a factor. And Liv is simply not going to get involved anymore. She's just completely done with Rhea. We certainly had enough of it over all of 2024. So I think it's safe to say if there's interference, and I guess Candice is the only candidate for that, that wouldn't be a DQ win for Nia. It would be a DQ win for Rhea. So the bottom line is Cody Rhodes was the prior biggest favorite at minus 6,000 at Bash in Berlin. And now Rhea has taken over as the biggest favorite post WrestleMania 40. So yeah, there is no chance she's losing it. Rhea is our pick to bet and pick to win. Up third is our World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther at minus 4,000 with a 97.56% implied probability against main event Jey Uso at plus 900 for 10% implied probability. Now, Gunther has 4 successful title defenses since SummerSlam, but it's been a weird and bumpy road, as his character choice was an awkward one that WWE gave to him. I guess it gave the illusion that he might actually lose at the time, but it was such a bummer after what we got used to seeing him with the IC title. So with that change of character, it makes it seem like he would not be the one going into WrestleMania with that title. So with that thought in mind, if this match had been against Seth Rollins or CM Punk or Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre, I probably would be picking Gunther to lose this one, but Jey Uso is simply not one of those guys. So at this point, I guess it seems like Gunther is going to be going to WrestleMania as the champion, or at least until the Elimination Chamber, where he could face one of those guys I mentioned just a moment ago. But would this be a way to have a transitional champion in Jey Uso, to then maybe get the belt on to Roman Reigns so he has it against maybe a Royal Rumble winner in CM Punk? That is a small possibility, but I don't think that's the plan. Jey was one of the very first to declare for the Royal Rumble, so I don't see him not being in the match. So I think here, honestly, the WWE just wants to get everyone to see Jey Yeet on free TV, so it might actually make some people excited to pay for Peacock to watch Jey at the Royal Rumble. So Jey's not gonna win here. He's gonna go down valiantly, and then he'll go right into that Royal Rumble spot. So for us, since Gunther's not facing one of those other guys, Gunther is our pick to bet and pick to win. And lastly, in our Intercontinental title match, we have Braun Breaker at -900 for 90% implied probability versus Sheamus at +500 for a 16.67%. Now, these two first fought all the way back on June 17th on Monday Night Raw, and Sheamus actually won that one by DQ. It was not for the IC title way back then, but Sheamus lost 2 IC title chances against Breaker in November. So I just can't believe WWE is going back to this well right now. So is the third time a charm for Sheamus? We know that he's been after this IC title for a long, long time in order to try to become a Grand Slam champion. And at some time, yeah, he's actually going to win this. And at the same time, we have to admit that Braun Breaker and the IC title has been placed in the mothballs over the last month since Breaker defeated Kaiser in the middle of December. So if there's strangely something going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of, we could be having this match to get this title off of Breaker and to put it on someone who is deserving. But that's really remote of a possibility. But likewise, if it's actually the opposite and they're pushing Braun Breaker all the way into the World Heavyweight Championship scene so maybe he can be the one to face Gunther, well, this would not be a bad way to do it, as Breaker would not necessarily look weak with Sheamus putting on banger after banger after banger. But repeat after me, in Saturday night's main event, champions retain, and it's a glorified house show. Champions retain, glorified house show. Yeah, Breaker's had a great year. In fact, he was Doc and I's Rookie of the Year for the men, and I'd say it's probably pretty likely that he's going into WrestleMania with the title. So yeah, we're sticking with the favorite here. Braun Breaker is our pick to win and our pick to bet. Alright, that's it. Just 4 matches on this card, so it's a pretty brief recap, and unfortunately we have all of the favorites winning here. Jacob Fatu over Braun Strowman, Rhea Ripley over Nia Jax, Gunther over Jey Uso, and Braun Breaker over Sheamus. So there you have it. Remember not to bet any more than you can afford to lose, but we'll say now this should be a fun but very inconsequential event before we get to the best event of the year, the Royal Rumble, next weekend. But if you missed my video where I booked the entire Women's Royal Rumble, be sure to go right on over here to check that out. So let's have some fun and start 2025 the same way that we ended 2024. Undefeated, and I'm the SportsZu, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.